Hi, before we get started, I'd like to point out that this is not in any way a how-to video. This is just how I opted to paint the tank for the CB750. First, we start by scuffing the bare tank with 400 grit sandpaper to remove the surface rust. This will also give the primer something to adhere to. Since this is the foundation of the paint job, we need to be extremely thorough. Once we are finished sanding, we can use prep solvent to clean all the oily residue from the tank. Any surface contaminants will make the paint not adhere properly. At the bench, we can mix the 2K primer using a 4:1:1 ratio of hardener and reducer. Since it's about 60 degrees today, we can use the low temp formula. The mixing cups being used have the ratio printed on the sides to make this process easier. Once all parts have been added to the paint cup, they need to be mixed thoroughly. I use a drip test to check for consistency and add more reducer as necessary. Once everything looks good, we can use a strainer and pour it into the paint gun. For spraying primer, I'm using a 1.6 tip in this gun with a 35 psi pressure. The paint gun needs to be kept at the same distance for each pass to help prevent runs. Additionally, each pass should overlap the last. Once we have covered the whole tank, we can spot spray areas that seem a little white. From here, I do one more pass just to make sure everything is evenly coated. After 24 hours, we can sand the primer with 600 grit to prep for the color coat. This sanding can also be useful to remove runs, dirt, or bugs before final color. The whole surface needs to be uniformly sanded. Once again, we can use prep solvent to clean the surface before paint. Since primer is porous, this should be allowed to dry for about 15 minutes. Using a paint gun with a 1.4 tip, we can spray color mix 4:1 with just hardener. To get the pattern necessary, I ran this paint gun at about 45 psi. The same technique used to spray primer can be used here as well. I spray the underside of the tank as well to keep it from rusting in the future. We used 2 medium wet coats of paint to achieve a surface that we liked. A little bit of spot spraying was also necessary. This is how the tank looked after the second coat and 24-hour dry time.